Good morning everyone, welcome to my Flosstube channel. It's Caroline in Leeds in West Yorkshire. It's the morning of Sunday the 6th of June. I hope I don't shock any of you by coming back again so quickly. It's only a couple of weeks since I last recorded a video, although given my current form it'll probably take me a couple of weeks to upload this. I thought I'd come and do a quick video and let you know how I got on with the rest of my Maynia, and then we'll go into what I'm planning to do in June. It took me a while to upload my last video. I'd hoped to do it sooner, but we went away on holiday last week and that was when I finally got round to doing it, and it's struggling a little bit with the rural Wi-Fi, which isn't nearly as fast as it is for me here in Leeds. We went to the Yorkshire coast for a week. My parents live out there, my sister came up with her kids, and so we all just sort of hung out on the beach. I shall try and put some pictures at the end of the video so you can see where we were. It's a very beautiful part of the world, and we were blessed with absolutely wonderful weather. Blue skies and sunshine for most of the week. It wasn't too warm. I mean, it was quite chilly in the wind in places, but as long as the sun's shining, there is no better place to be. As I said before, my name is Caroline. I can be found around the internet on Twitter and Instagram as @CarolineAKemp. Caroline is spelled with a K. And show notes for this episode will be on my blog, which can be found at carolinescorner.blogspot.com. Right, I think that is all the admin. So we'll go straight into what I worked on in Stitch Maynia, which was, I'm just going to go chronologically through my projects in the order I worked on them, and then so it'll be a mix of whips and new starts. After my last video, the next project I picked up was Skylar Wayne by Indigo Rose. This was a new start for Stitch Maynia 2019, and I think has only been worked on during Maynia. This was a gift in a Secret Stitcher exchange many years ago. My Secret Stitcher at the time, I think, was called Carol, but I can't remember her surname, sent me the chart kitted up and had actually got Catherine to sign it for me, which was very, very lovely of her. So I'm stitching this on the kit materials. So I think this is Cafe au lait linen from Access Commodities 34 or 35, I can't remember without going and looking. I will add it in later. And I am using the called for silks. This isn't too dark. It's a bit cloudier today than it has been. So this time I brought it out. I finished off this little quilt block here, which I had started, and I started putting in this purple border on the centre block. So I'm working up here at the moment. The silks for this are all Karen, so a mix of soy crystal and water lilies silks. Absolutely beautiful to work with, of course. I'm quite pleased with how much I got done that night. I don't usually get more than about an hour or so stitching time on an average night, so that's one of the reasons why my progress on a lot of stuff is quite slow. So that was my first project. That was Skylar Wayne. The next thing I worked on was a new start. I've had this charity chart from Lois of Elegant Stitch, and now Lady Dot Creates. in my stash since it came out in 2006. It's the This Too Shall Pass Monograms and Motifs Treasures box. I've actually stitched the other two pieces in this series, which were the 2005 and 2004 pieces. So it's time to get the box done. So again, just a small start. I just got one of the boxes outlined that night. And again, beautiful colours. I think they're Gloriana silks and some needlepoint ink. So, and I dug out the other two pieces in the set that I've completed. First is a scissor pouch. As you can see, I stitched it in 2005, or yes, it was my Christmas Day start in 2005, back in days before children when I could do this and pretty much get the whole thing stitched at the time. So very much enjoyed. I love the colours in this particular set. They're very much my colours. And then 10 years later, I stitched the pin keep, which has the house on the front and This Too Shall Pass. I think I seem to recall at the time I would have had two children under 3. I'd had a toddler, a baby, because he was born in 2010, and my daughter was 2 and a bit. Hence the need to stitch something saying This Too Shall Pass. So yes, so I want to get the box finished so I can have the complete set. Right. I dump everything on the floor once I'm done. My next whip was a shepherd's bush needle roll. This was also a start in 2019. This is the Stitchers roll, which, as you know, comes as a kit if you've ever bought any shepherd's bush needle rolls. It gives you a DMC, very much their usual palette. And this time round I finished this band and started on the words underneath. So a little bit of progress, I say. It was during the working week, so I don't tend to get a lot, so just just getting a couple of strands of thread in is quite nice. After my shepherd's bush piece, it was turn of another piece from 2019, Maynia. This was another Maynia start in 2019. I'm just working through my whips in day order, so hence these are all getting a look in again this time round. This is Folk Art Needle Box by Hillside Samplings, and it's the needle book that goes in the box. I've got the box. I've got a few of the pieces in this set, but the only one I've actually stitched was the horn book, which I didn't bring up, I should have done. And this time round I'd got 1 and a bit of the hearts outlined. I finished the bit of the heart, finished the outlines on the others, and made a very small start on the top heart, which is up here, that one. And again, this is just kitted in DMC. So I might be DMC and a bit of over dye, can't remember. Didn't pull the threads out of the packet, so yes, I'm working on this big the top heart, and I think once I get that done, the rest will go quite quickly. Again, it's just nice to see some of these. Then the next one again was the Maynia 2019 start. This is Beardy Designs Elegant Pocket, which I had the kit. It's kitted with silks, needlepoint silks in lovely shades of green and purple. My thread keep is from Kelmscott Designs. It's on their mother of pearl ones. And here is my progress to date. I filled in the four-sided stitch up here, and then it was just a little bit of the middle design. I think I just had this Y shape done, so just a little bit on there. So again, not much progress, but again, as I said, I don't usually see a lot of stitching time of an evening by the time I get sat down, and I've been absolutely exhausted after work, so I tend to be heading to bed quite early. But I love working on that one, so I'm looking forward to getting back to that at some point. Oh, just let me have a mouthful of tea. Then the next whip I worked on was the last of my starts from 2019 Maynia, and again it's another one of Lois's breast cancer fundraisers. This Too Shall Pass was also a breast cancer fundraiser. This is from, I can't remember. This was the set before that, so I can't remember where it's from. I'd have to look. And it's a basket band, a pin cushion, and a little fob for the basket. It came with the basket, which I have, and I made a small start on the fob in 2019. I got it outlined, most of the Smyrna crosses in. This time round, it's all French knots. I don't do French knots, or I didn't, but so far so good on the French knots. Most of them seem to be behaving themselves, so I think I should be pretty good at French knots by the time I've done both sides of this. This is being stitched in Perle cotton and a couple of weeks dye works, heather and thistle. Again, this is a Kelmscott Designs mother of pearl thread keep. So the basket is the last of this particular set I need to stitch. I've done the other pieces, which were the needle roll, which I stitched in 2001, the sewing pocket, which was a 2006, a needle book stitched in 2007, along with the scissor fob and matching pink scissors. So I just need to get the basket, which has been sat there for probably about 15 years, stitched, so I can have the complete set sat there. Again, nice to get back to that one. Then it was a Monday again, so I had a new start. My new start is again a kit that's been sat there for a long time. I'm trying to work through some of these. This is the Remember Me photo album, which was a Nashville exclusive from indigo rose. I think, guessing 2003, because I think that's the date that's charted on there when I look at the instructions. So it came in a box, and what you're doing is stitching a cover for this photo album. And again, I've had it sat there since it came out at Nashville Market. So I made a small start. It's stitched on even weave with DMC. I'm working down the spine of the book. So as I say, again, a very small start. These are the DMC colours. To comb them like Nicole. There we go. Pretty colours. And again, one that's nice to get out on the started pile rather than just taunting me from the kit drawer. So after my new start, I picked up another 2019 whip, which was Milk Paint Sampler by Mary Gary's Sewing Cabin. This was a little kit that Kreinik put out in 2001, 2002, when they launched their Milk Paint Silk Moire threads. There was a whole range of these kits, of which I've got a couple that I've now started. So the kit came just with the threads, so I'm using a random bit of overdyed linen from my stash. I have no idea what it is. I think it's Silk Weaver, because that's mostly who my overdyed linen comes from back when I was in their Fabric of the Month club back in the early 2000s. Just got a few of the letters stitched. Yeah, it was down here, so it was those 4 letters got done. Again, when I get back to this one, I don't think it'll take me too long to do once I'm working on it more than just one day every couple of years. So these are the silk colours. They're very, very delicate and absolutely lovely. So I'm quite enjoying working with the Silk Moire. Then the following day, it was I'm on to my 2020 starts. This was my 1st of January 2020 start. It's Just Nan's and Many More, which was a shop exclusive for the Silver Needle quite some time ago. So Nan did a scissor keep for their called 20 Flowers, which I have, which was for the shop's 20th anniversary. So that was the scissor keep, which I stitched. I know I only did the finishing a couple of years ago, but I did actually do the stitching quite a while ago. So get in and excuse me while I get in it. I did the stitching in 2012. So I'm currently working on the front of the needle book. So I actually got a fair bit of stitching in on this one because it was we were on holiday. So I got finished, I was working on this flower, so I got That's centre flower finish. Finished off these 2 darker flowers, put all the dark green in, and then made a start on the fence. This came as a kit from the Silver Needle. So this is kitted up with Splendor Silks and some thread gatherer in Nan's usual colours. It's lovely to work on. Again, when it comes up as a focus piece, it probably won't take me that long to stitch. And then the last whip I worked on for Maynia was Jane Marshall, 1857. I bought this one when it was the fundraiser from Hands Across the Sea. I believe it's now available as a little gem. They released this as the fundraiser, originally as a fundraiser for the Australian bushfires. This actually got worked on a fair bit when I was on holiday, because I'm down on this bottom row, and I decided that what I would do was I'm going to work on Jane till she's finished, because she was my last whip, and I was just trying to work without trying to get complicated about what stitching I was taking on holiday. So when she got pulled out for Maynia, I was partway across this green dividing band. So I finished that band off, got some more of the blue border in, and for Maynia just made a start on these stitches at the front, but for the rest of the holiday, as you can see, I've made some quite good progress on finishing this band off. Jane is being stitched on some Days Gone By 32 count even weave from Silk Weaver that I had in my stash, again from the early 2000s when I was in the Fabric of the Month Club. And I'm stitching her in Gloriana silks. I didn't have enough of this sweet Soidalgia that she's charted for, so I pulled the DMC, then matched it. And I just idly thought, well, I wonder if I've got other silks that match, and then I could do pretty much a full silk conversion to Gloriana. And I've a lot of Gloriana because I was in a collector's program with Traditional Stitches, again in the early 2000s. So it was nice to get some. It's nice to be using some of them. So yeah. So when we get to plans, one of my goals for this month is I'm just going to keep going on Jane, and I am going to get her finished because I don't think she's going to take me too much longer. I've broken the back of the stitching that's left. She got about 3 days worth of stitching in on Jane while I was away. So yeah, so I'm really pleased with the progress on her, and hopefully next time I record she will be done. That would be 2 Hands Across the Sea finishes in 1 year. I know, not the big ones, but 2 finishes. It's not bad going. There was one more project that I worked on for Maynia, a new start, but that's going to be a gift for someone, so we won't look at, you won't see that till it's finished. Right. And then we're on to June. As I said, a chunk of what I've worked on this month. I've done 3 days on Jane Marshall. My first of the month start was Birds of a Feather by Brenda Gervais, With Thy Needle and Thread. Now this was a Nashville exclusive design through Norden Crafts. Can't remember the year without looking at the chart. It's been out, it was a long time, I know it was a while ago, and unfortunately this chart is now out of print, which is one reason why I thought I'd better get on and stitch it. I am using all the called for Weeks Dye Works. And I'm stitching it on the call for linen. And I got a nice little start. The joys of being on holiday. I got a couple of hours stitching time. I tend to wake up early, so I get up and go and watch Flosstube and stitch while the rest of the family gets moving when we're on holiday. So made a start on the outside border and got one of the border flowers in, and that will be the inside border. So yeah, I'm stitching this on the called for 35 count Weeks Dye Works linen with the with threads. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting back to that one at some point. Not sure when it'll be, but again, it's out of the stash and it's into the start pile, which is what counts. So the only other thing I've been doing this month, because it's first weekend of the month, it's the Blackbird Designs sale with Brenda and Laura, Brenda in the Serial Starter. So I got Moon Garden back out. Again, another very old chart. Again, I'm afraid it's out of print. Again, I bought this when it came out, and I started it for Maynia last year. So stitching it in the called for Gentle Arts. My thread bling is from Pretty Little Thread Keepers on Facebook. Hazel, who does these lovely thread keeps. And I am stitching it on 32 count Sienna Night linen from Lakeside Linens. Again, this is linen I have had in my stash for the best part of 20 years, so I don't know if it's widely available. Oh, well, I know Lakeside's not widely available at all. I've no idea if they still dye this colour, but the colours are popping beautifully on this fabric. I think it originally called for some R&R linen. Yeah, they wanted 18th century rook from R&R. So I have, excuse me, sorry about that, my other half just got back from his bike ride. As I was saying, so I'm working on Moon Garden, so I'm using the Sienna Night rather than the R&R Rook, but I think the colours are popping beautifully on this fabric. So since the last sale, I was working on this leaf. So I've finished this leaf, and I've taken the stem of the flower. I'm almost at the top of the everlasting stem, and so we'll start to work on the flower next, which will be fun after all the willow I have been stitching with. So yes, so that's Moon Garden. I'll work on that again tonight to finish the sal off. I think this Brenda and Laura's sal is going to help me get through. I have a lot of Blackbird designs. I've only got 2 Blackbird whips, but I have a whole box full of their charts, because as you know, we have to buy all the Blackbird. It's the law. So yeah, so I'm very pleased with my progress on that one. So then we're on to plans for June. As I've already mentioned, once with the sal finishes, I'm going to go back to Jane Marshall and get her finished. I think I can finish her within a week or so. After I have finished Jane, I'm going to move on to what's going to be my new focus piece now I've finished Heather Jardine, which is going to be one you have seen before because I was working on it before I started Heather. It's the three-sided etui by C.A. Wells. This was a class I took with the Albury sisters who ran Hanging by a Thread in London. They used to organise classes for us all, and C.A. was one of their regular teachers. This piece was designed for the 10th anniversary of CA first coming over to teach, and is now going to be a little bit poignant because we found out last week that Susan, who was the main mover behind Hanging by a Thread, had passed away. So I shall be stitching this and thinking of all the great times I had at Susan's classes, because she was very, very instrumental when I came across her at stitching shows, of introducing me to so many of the designers I love, and a lot of very, very good stitching friends as well. So I've actually got quite well into this. It's 3 sides, so I have stitched one side, 2 sides, and 2 of the little pincushion sides. So I have the second side to finish up, third side to finish up, and the third side of the little pincushion. Then there's also a box, and there was a kit to line a Lauderay macaron box. No, sugared almond box. So I've got that kit to do stitch as well, to stitch the band that goes and the top piece to go. I think I should be able to get on with that. Then it's just a case of trying to find the time for the finishing, because I've got quite a pile of ex-class kits that need some finishing work doing on them. And if I get that done before the end of June, then I'll just pick up the next whip in the pile, which is one from early 2000, which is another of the Kreinik Milk Paint kits, called Girls Night Out by Kathy Barrick, and do a little bit more of that till the end of the month. So yeah, so that's my stitching plans for June. See how I get on. Hopefully I will have a finished report when I come back. So, as it's not been long since I last recorded, there isn't a lot of stash because I've been on holiday. So you saw most of it last time, but there is a couple of things that have come in. First one is Sarah Stewart Hardiman. Chart I've been meaning to buy for quite a long time. It's been on my wish list for ages. I finally got around to ordering it from Fobbles last month. This is quite an interesting chart for me because she lived in Wakefield, did Sarah Stewart, which is only about 5 or 6 miles down the road from me, so which is another reason to want to stitch this one. Other than it's got a red house, it's got sheep, and it's lovely. The other chart I bought was one I got from Patchwork Rabbit. It is Sarah Constable by Mill on the Floss Samplers, which again has been on my wishes for ages. It's quite a lovely, bright, cheerful chart with a red house and what looks like these, I don't know if you can see them, little pink owls. So cute. With boots on. You can see they've got boots on. Owls with boots on. What's not to love? So, don't know when I'll get that one stitched, but Sarah had a taste for really bright colours, as you can tell. The other thing I got from the Patchwork Rabbit is when I was looking, she had some of the Stacey Nash waxes that Taylor Nash has made in stock, so I bought a strawberry to add to my collection of. I've got a small number of beeswaxes that came with various kits over the years that I've got on my stitching small shelves, so that's a lovely addition to the collection. And that's it for the stitching portion of the video. And then so there's a small bit of knitting. Again, no finishes, they were all last time. I have, however, cast on for my next sweater project. As I discussed, I'm doing love notes by Tin Can Knits, because I had this West Yorkshire Spinners fleece Wensleydale in the amethyst colourway in my wall stash, and I'd been looking for a suitable chart to do with it. And here is my progress to date. This is actually my second start on on this one, because the first time I cast it on, I managed to get the provisional cast on twisted when I was joining it, and I was knitting a Mobius sweater, which wasn't going to work. So it all had to be ripped out. So you start with provisional, this is knit top down, so you start with provisional cast on. I've gone through some increases and I'm now 3/4 of the way through the yoke pattern. So, quite happy with how that's going. And then should grow quite quickly once I get onto the stocking stitch, because that's such you don't have to think about it. Once you don't have to think about it anymore, it's great. So yeah, so that's my start on Love Notes, and I really don't recommend trying to knit a Mobius sweater. It just don't work. So yeah. I made a fair bit of progress on my cowl, which I had just cast on my last video. I'm on the second to last colour. I think I was on the orange last time, or had just started the yellow. So it's growing nicely. So I have just started with the purple, and I have the pink to go. So this was a kit from the Knitting Goddess. The pattern is hers as well, and it's a combination of 4-ply BFL and Monbrock kid mole hair and silk. So hopefully I think I might get this finished this week, so that would be nice. So there'll be another, hopefully that'll be a finish next time I speak to you as well. And finally, there's been a little bit of work on my socks, which are the Cliff Walk socks from Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade, and these were Sock Society 2 or 3, I'm not sure, I can remember exactly. 2 maybe. I'm knitting them in, again, Knitting Goddess yarn. This is self-striping British wool and nylon, and it was a yarn club I was in back in 2016 called Back to the Discworld, and the colourway's got God of Evolution. But it's all shades of blues and greens, which I think works quite nicely with these socks. So I have just started the heel flap. Again, this is getting knit when I'm waiting for my kids to come out of swimming lessons, because I can't go into the pool anymore. I have to sit in the car park and wait for them. So you sort of have a knitting project. So the plans for my knitting are really just to keep going with those. I'm hoping I will finish the cowl. If I do finish the cowl, then my next shawl project will be another Helen Stewart one, this time from the Shawl Society number 3, which is the Ivy Over the Door shawl, which was the second shawl in that season of the Shawl Society. I've got some beautiful yarn from, who's it by? Can't remember. I'll tell you next time when I cast it on. It's Islington Fingering, Kettle Yarn Company, I think. I'll put it down below anyway. I'll put it on the screen and look it up. There's been no knitting stash, unless you count the fact that I am signed up for the Shawl Society and the Sock Society for this year. So that's Sock Society number 4 and Shawl Society number 5. We're on the 4th socks for the Sock Society, and the first shawl for the Shawl Society. So I've just bought the patterns. Other than that, I'll talk a little bit about my reading. I've been on a bit of a crime kick this year so far, or that's been what's been capturing my attention. I've read another of the Ian Rankin Inspector Rebus books because I'm several years behind with those. So I've just reached his retirement in Exit Music and finished that. Really enjoyed that one. I also, my holiday reading was I took one of Robin Stevens' Murder Most Unladylike series of number 3, it's Murder for First Class Murder, away with me. These are books my daughter, I bought the first one, and then my daughter took a liking to the series and absolutely gobbled them all up last year. They're set to be sort of based around a mix of the Golden Age mysteries meets school stories. So they're aimed at sort of 10 to, my daughter's 13, so sort of 10-year-old upwards girls. Murder First Class was loosely based around Agatha Christie's Death on the Orient Express, and is set on the Orient Express. The two heroines are Daisy Wells and Hazel Wong, who meet at boarding school, and they form a detective society because Daisy is into all sorts of crime fiction. It's set in the 1930s. If you want something really fun and not too challenging to read, I thoroughly recommend the series. The other crime author I've been reading a lot of is Jacqueline Winspear. I'm a member of a subscription library here in Leeds called the Leeds Library. It's the oldest private subscription library still going in the UK. Last couple of years it celebrated its 250th birthday. And with lockdown, they subscribed through Libby. You could get some ebooks, and they had the first 4 of the Maisie Dobbs series available as ebooks through the library. So I borrowed the first 4 and absolutely devoured them, which, if you are not familiar, are murder mysteries set in the immediate aftermath of World War One. And I think the series goes forward and takes Maisie into World War II, but I haven't obviously not got that far yet. And explores some of the issues around, around the aftermath and people's experience of World War One. Maisie was a servant, and then she got a place at Cambridge somehow and worked as a nurse on the Western Front, and then became a private investigator when she came back. So again, I can chew through one of those books in an evening. They really don't take a huge amount of reading, and that's kind of what I've needed. Currently I'm reading Maggie O'Farrell's Hamlet, which came out last year and everyone absolutely raved about, so I picked it up now. It's out in paperback, so I shall let you know what I think about that, hopefully in the next video. So thank you for hanging with me. Thank you to anyone who leaves, I love anyone who leaves comments or likes the videos. Please feel free to subscribe, it would be lovely if you do. As I said, I'll put the show notes in on my blog. There'll be a link in the box below. I shall aim to come back at the beginning of July and let you know how I've gotten on this month. Otherwise, take care, and I shall see you again soon. Bye.